Okay, so now let's look at this set from inside her head. What's going on? What's her perspective? What's she feeling? What's she thinking? And how am I adjusting to it?
Excuse me, sorry, I would wait for you to stop, but I'm just too lazy. But you guys are adorable. Thank you. Who are you? You're also tiny. I think collectively, without the heels, you might get totally 5 feet. This is my friend. That's rather amazing.
Okay, so far what you've seen is a lot of just standard opening tactics, being loud, being high energy, getting their attention. The one thing that you might have missed in all of that was the whole, I thought of making you stop, but I just was too lazy or something like that, or I was going to walk with you, but I'm just too lazy. I don't remember what I said, but the point is the vibe, which is this is effortless. The vibe of I'm arrogant, I'm entitled, I don't have to work for girls. It's a subtle little thing, and I'm not going to say it's the main reason why the set opened or anything like that, but what am I doing from the very beginning is I'm setting the frame. I'm setting the right frame. With opening, I do want to open consistently, and that's very important, but even more so, I care about opening in such a way that I'm setting the right tone and the right vibe so that I'm going to be in a good position of value. I'm going to be in a position where I can tease with some authority, those kind of things. And being arrogant right from the start is actually setting me up that way.
I love the.
I live in Anytown.
Yeah, don't play that look. I invented that look. Don't start pulling that shit out. I know what that is.
You said meat hair?
Yeah.
Because you look so like straight.
Yeah. It's fun. I like it.
Oh really? Well, I'm glad I could be unoriginal for you. Let me know what else.
So what's occurred so far? I'm sort of teasing the girl, giving the girl a hard time, calling her out on things, right? What I'm essentially trying to do is I'm trying to instigate, all right? By being arrogant, by teasing, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get a reaction. And what I'm doing essentially is I'm assuming a frame that, if true, would probably lead to sex. I am a high-value person. She wants to have sex with me. She wants to prove herself to me, those kind of things. And then from that frame, she has one of two things she can do. One is she can just go along with the frame, in which case, we'll sleep together. The other is she can give me shit tests, and that's what she's just done here, is just giving me kind of a light shit test. And so I'm going to pass the shit test, and every time I pass the shit test, I'm then conveying to her and defining myself for her that I am the right type of guy. I'm the guy that's non-reactive, the guy that's abundant, the guy who can handle himself under pressure, et cetera, et cetera. So either outcome is good. If she accepts the frame, that's great. If she gives you shit test, that only gives you a better chance to prove yourself. And so now, as I pass the shit test, she's going to get more impressed.
No way. That's amazing. What about your hair?
It's a good weather, you know what I mean?
So there's a part of me that kind of wants to have a crush on you, and there's a part of me that thinks I just run away right now. If you were a man in my shoes,
Nice.
if you're a man in my shoes,
I do like work stuff out here. What about you? You and your girl just kicking it?
let's leave the facts and feelings out of it for a while.
So do you hear what I just said here? Let's just have fun and leave the facts and feelings out of it. What am I doing here? Well, I'm already trying to put myself in the lover frame and not the provider frame, right? And I'm also assuming a role of value, right? I'm assuming this role of that she wants something from me, she wants a relationship from me, she would want more from me, so I'm being preemptively the one that says, we can't go that far, you can't have this much with me, which is the opposite of the frame most girls are used to. Most girls are used to the frame that the guy's hitting on them, and they're the one deciding how far it will go. I'm stealing that frame, I'm taking that frame ahead of time.
I don't want to get attached.
Yeah, that's good. First time here? Good shit. Good shit.
Oh, totally. Is it just the two of you? Because you guys are actually a really cool combination. Yeah, it's just you guys.
Are like...
So what do you do? Because you look...
I feel like you guys have been like...
But then at the same time...
You guys seem like you've been good.
One eyebrow. What is this shit?
You guys seem like you've been good friends.
Yeah.
Even at college, I'll tell you
Oh, shit.
So there you saw her just giggling, being reactive. She kind of cracked. So she was giving me the shit test. She was like kind of not that responsive to what I was saying. And then now she cracked. Now she's blushing. Now she's reacting. Now she's very much in my frame. All right. So this would be an indication for me that she likes me. that I can start to maybe qualify her. I can start to get her to commit to the conversation a bit more. I might be able to escalate a little bit. I've already tested the escalation a little bit where I was like grabbing her arms a bit. But this is a very good sign. At this moment, I know that she likes me.
Guys, this is your homegirl.
So you're a little professional, but then you have this. You have the most active eyebrows ever. Like, I'm just gonna put my hand here while I talk to you, so I'm just like I don't see all this shit going on.
We like travel the world.
I know it's hard to contain yourself around a man such as myself. It's like just keep it under wraps so we get to know each other.
And then again, how arrogant. I know it's hard to contain yourself around a man such as myself, but let's just take it slow and get to know each other better, that kind of stuff, right? All these vibes, all these ideas that she wants more from me, she wants more from me. And I'm not saying them as like a statement, be like, you want more from me, you like me. Instead, I'm implying it. It's the underlying assumption behind the statements I'm saying. It makes it more subtle, right? If I were to claim these things, she'd dispute them. If I take them as underlying assumptions, she can't dispute them because it's hard to get at the underlying assumptions of what's being said.
Europe.
Something professional, but at the same time, like there's definitely a price to it about you. So I can't imagine
I like to
you in
live
a situation where you have to follow rules all the time. So I think you're going nuts. Try and grab a chair or two here, perhaps. Four. Kevin, stay here. Let me go see what I can wrangle up. Give me a second. Oh my god. I mean, as enticing as that is, I don't know you that well yet. I was going to give you the chair for a second. You can pretend like you're like a little princess. You'd be like, now you went from 5 feet tall to 3 feet tall, but it's cool, nonetheless. As far as I It's super funny. I feel like you guys are about to get really intimate right now. How do you guys actually know each other?
We met in college.
This goes along with my whole intimacy. It's like, you guys can explain, and it's fine. I approve, it's fine. I love the sense of humor on this one. My question for you guys have known each other for a while then? Yeah. Can I trust her? Because I know we'll have fun together, but I don't know if I can trust her. Absolutely. Fair enough. JP, let's try and wrangle up one more chair. If you can. Oh my goodness. Shelly, if we get another chair and he sits on my lap, will that be weird?
So 2 things are going on here. One, I'm qualifying her through the friend. So I'm not only conveying that I'm a high value guy and a selective guy to her, I'm conveying it even more so to the friend. And the idea here, because I'm talking to the friend, I'm not talking directly to her, she's overhearing it, but again, it seems more accidental. So anything I say to the friend about her that she overhears seems more unintentional and therefore more real than if it's said directly to her and therefore more intentional, right? Also, by being the selective guy for the friend, I'm increasing my social value in the whole group. So if they talk about me later or as they form opinions about me, the friend's way more likely to say positive things about me. And of course, engaging the friend and being friendly with the friend is also going to encourage her to say positive things. So that's all really good. The other thing I'm doing here, which is kind of almost a dickhead thing to do, I'm asking my assistant, who's there filming me or helping out with the filming, to go grab me a chair, right? It's kind of a weird thing. High value people, for whatever reason, shit just happens for them, right? People just do things for them. People go out of their way, things just appear. When you are high status, life just seems easier around you, right? Because either you're in luxurious accommodations where you have a concierge taking care of you, or you have assistants around you to take care of things, or you're more competent and capable and you planned ahead and things work out better for you. But it just happens to be the case that when it's an impression that when you're around high value people, shit gets taken care of, shit gets handled, you're in like kind of the lap of luxury. When you're not, then a lot of shit goes wrong and life kind of sucks, right? And so what happens for this girl if a random dude just happens to like present a chair to us, right? It just gives that feeling of she's in dreamland with me. Everything comes up taut, everything works out for me, right? I do this kind of stuff all the time. If you want to be really obnoxious about it, sometimes if I have friends or whatever, I'll even like just call my friend my assistant and make him go do shit for me. And then if my friend were to ask me the same thing, I would do it for him to make him look good, right? But it just makes the person involved look high status within the group, right? So this is just a little tiny thing, But it's much better than either A, not finding a chair, or B, me spending a bunch of time looking around for a chair and then eventually finding it. It seems like hard work. It seems like it didn't happen naturally. It seems try hard. If I'm trying so hard for a chair, why am I trying so hard? I obviously have an agenda. I obviously care about their perception of me. But if a chair just appears out of nowhere, it just happened, not try hard, right? So there's a lot of good things that happen out of this little move of me being a little dickhead to my friend, right? And again, if my friend were dickhead to me in this way, I would totally go find him a chair, because what goes around comes around.
What has happened?
Actually, we should go downstairs.
Can I go downstairs?
Yeah.
No, 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 no. Your fashion, you are... You two should get together. You're like perfect little entrepreneur. What do I do? I did business. I'm like semi-retired now. Semi. I mean, like if a good opportunity presents itself, I'm not gonna say no. But I'm not actively looking. How old do you think? I only ask because everybody's had been giving me really interesting answers.
You're like, I've heard that before. I literally said that.
What's that?
I said that's her. She's all judgmental.
No, I'm not. I know. Are you guys the same age?
He's like, he would be the slightly older.
Slightly older? 34.
That's a very specific guess. You're actually completely right. You're like perfectly right, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'll be 35 in March. So I'm like 1 foot in the grave at this point. I've just decided like I'll probably die within a year at this point, so I was gonna have like a lot of fun in the next 6
Hang it
months.
up, retire.
That's right, that's what really bad. It's just like, if we got really close, then I'd like die and break your heart. So like I don't want to do that to you.
You're actually like,
Plus,
you're a good place.
well, plus since I turned 33, I can't like get it up anymore, so I'll be
23 is like the best age.
Is it?
It is.
I hope so.
No, it is. It like for sure is. It's like
Oh, I
universal.
wish. It's a really bad one now.
Without you looking at me.
I know, right? I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I have such a penetrating gaze. I promise not to penetrate you anytime soon.
Oh, you won't. Don't worry about that.
So the penetrating gaze comment is funny, but what I want to draw your attention to is what happened before that, which is that I got caught staring a bit. And that's totally fine, okay? There's a phrase in the old school pickup community that is like, I make no apologies for my desires as a man. It's a very important idea, a very important way of thinking and way of living, right? One of the most sort of powerful things you can communicate to a girl at a fundamental level is just having good eye contact, holding her gaze and not flinching, especially if you seem a little bit aroused while doing it, right? Because it's a little risky. Getting caught staring is a little risky, right? Most, like when you were growing up as a kid, if you were like staring at a hot girl and she looked at you, the instinct is like, oh, look away, don't get caught, right? But if you keep staring at her and aren't worried, don't seem to care if you get caught, what does that convey? It conveys you're comfortable with sex. It conveys that you're not worried about getting in trouble, which again conveys, status or the ability to get out of things, resourcefulness, all kinds of things. There's so many good qualities that come out of it, and so many bad qualities that come out of flinching. So my suggestion to you is get caught staring a bit, right? One of the first lessons I ever learned in game was in middle school. And I read a book on like how to attract women. There's not that many good tips in it, but one really good tip was like holding eye contact and gazing at girls. And so I would just start gazing across the room at girls that were in my class and holding eye contact with them. And then when they'd make eye contact, I just hold it a little bit longer than necessary. And all of a sudden, girls started getting really interested in me. It was fucking nuts, right? And all I did was hold eye contact. So holding eye contact, getting caught staring, not being ashamed of having desires as a man, is massively, massively powerful, both as a technique and also as an attitude.
I like the bicycles. I do enjoy the banter with you. I do think we should like take it slow with the other stuff because I really don't trust you at all. But I could banter with you all day. We could like all the clothes have to stay on. That's as far as I can go.
You're trying to get me in bed already.
Huh?
So you're trying to get me in bed already.
No, not yet. I need trust for connection. You may have to like give me some words. I'm not ready.
So what I'm doing here, and I mentioned this before, is I'm stealing her frame. I'm taking the frame of I'm high value, you want me, I'm the one deciding, I'm the one selecting, right? And the last couple times, she's reacted very strongly to it, right? So I said, we're not going to do this. And she's like, no, we're definitely not, right? But the fact of the matter is, how much more powerful is it that I say we're not going to do it and she goes, no, we're definitely not, than if I didn't say anything and she brought up the frame, right? So she can chase the frame all she wants. She can try and like, you know, hold value, or she can try and like match what I'm saying. But if I said it first, everyone knows I said it first. I'm non-needy, I'm non-try-hard. She's going to wonder, why is this guy not trying with me, that kind of stuff. Just such a powerful tool. Basically, anytime a girl has done something that frustrated you because it put her in a more high-value frame than you and made it feel like you were chasing, ask yourself, how did she do that? And with the next girl, reverse it. Flip the script, because there's no reason as a man that you can't do those things that the girl is doing to you.
You said business before, but that's extremely vague. What does that mean? I would own you at the poker table.
So there's two things going on here. First is qualifying her, right? Telling her why she's interesting, why she's different, why she's cool, unique, etc. This isn't something you want to be doing at the start of an interaction, but once she likes you, she wants to have access to your value, and she wants to have a narrative in her head that she earned you, or it's special, or there's a connection, or whatever. So qualifying is going to help with that. The other thing that I'm doing in the nature of how I'm qualifying her is I'm becoming an authority in her world. Meaning, in this case, she's into business. I am a successful business person. And so I'm telling her, from having gone the path that she's going to walk and looking back, some facts about the path she's about to walk. That's massive value, right? That's a massive source of value. Now, again, you could take this from the providery frame of, look, I will teach you, and if I teach you, will you spend time with me? That's called supplicating, right? I mentioned that earlier. Supplicating is when you're like trying to do something for a girl because you feel she wouldn't accept you otherwise, or you feel it's your only way in. Instead, what it has to be is, you're amazing, and just purely out of the goodness of your heart, because you have so much to give, and it's such a little thing for you and gives them so much, that you're just going to be generous and give a little bit. Okay? That's the frame it needs to come from. It cannot come from the frame of quid pro quo of like, I do this for you so that you'll hang out with me, or I do this for you so that you'll like me. If it's ever from that frame, you're in the worst kind of provider frame, and you don't want to be there at all.
I appreciate that you guys are entrepreneurs. I can't deal with people that have to follow the people's schedules and orders. Don't do it.
Like frog.
It's also good because if we all like became friends and shit, and I'm traveling, I want to like, hey, pick up, let's go. I'd be like, okay, I can do it. Don't have to be like, let me call into my boss, I can get sick leave, and like. It's fine. You can be crazy. We'll just like no biographical details, so you can't stalk me. It's fine.
So it seems a lot like just like small talk with a little bit of tiny bit of sexuality in it. But what I want to point out is that I'm telling the girl a bit about my life story. Okay. First thing is talking about being tied up, being like the idea that I'm surprised I've never been tied up. I'm like, that's weird. I actually have never been tied up. That says something about my life. It says that I'm a little kinky sexually. I've had a decent amount of sex, that kind of stuff, right? And then I mentioned the 2 craziest girls I've ever dated, right? So again, talking about having dated other girls. Now, I don't say like, I've dated lots of girls. A lot of them were hot. I'm a player. I'm a boss. That's lame as hell. But if I say, you know, if I mention a few stories, oh yeah, there's a girl that I dated and da-da-da-da-da. Oh yeah, this funny thing, the reason I know that, this girl, blah, 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 blah. Like if it just happens to come up a few times in your stories, when the story would be good enough without that detail, it's implied social proof. You're telling her, you're showing her through your stories, because again, you're not trying to tell her about the girl, it's just part of the story, so it happened by accident. You're showing her that you've had girls in your life, you've dated, you've been popular with girls. Ideally, I'm telling a story about girls qualifying and trying to prove themselves to me. So what's she going to imply from that? That a lot of times other girls are trying to prove themselves to me, right? There's a lot of good qualities that can be conveyed through your stories and through the topics that you choose. And that's what I'm doing here, is I'm conveying a history where I've had girls in my life before.
Alright, so besides being an ambitious businesswoman, she's going to be a multi-billionaire one day in fashion, and like, you'll be like a Vera Wang, Donna Karan mixture, but like with a little more like color and spice, something like that. Aside from that, like what do you do for fun? Like to actually like have a life, or you work all the time? Okay, I didn't see that one coming. No, not at all. Well, you live in the city, first of all, so. restaurants and order really well. I'm a really good orderer.
We're like once a month.
I travel too much. Like most hotels don't have like kitchens and stuff. So.
See, even there, it's a little thing, but what am I doing? I'm implying status, I'm implying lifestyle, right? Things like, I'm a terrible cook. Yeah, I travel too much to learn to cook, right? So I'm saying it as a negative thing, but most people, when they hear I travel too much, what does that say? Oh, that's my dream life. I'd love to travel. I want to travel. Most people's dream is to travel more than they do. Little do they realize if you travel a ton, like it actually gets boring. But most people just want to travel. So if you imply that you travel too much, what does that imply? High status. The other thing I said is I'm terrible at cooking. I'm just really good at ordering at restaurants, right? What is that implication? The implication is I'm wealthy, right? Because a lot of people would love to eat out a lot, but the problem is eating out is expensive. And so people cook and do their shit at home because it's expensive. It also takes time, right? So it implies that you're wealthy and you have time on your hands, right? So again, I travel, I'm wealthy, I have time on my hands, but I didn't say any of those things. If I ever said I travel, I'm wealthy, I have time over my hands, she'd be like, you're fucking trying way too hard, you're an idiot, you're a tool, right? But if I say these things obliquely, especially, oh man, I'm the worst cook, seriously. Well, I come by it honestly. Like I've traveled so much. It's just like, usually hotels don't have stoves, so I just never learned to cook, right? Because it's blanketed in the negative, you can convey these positive qualities.
I mean, I enjoy a cup and everything, but you have to figure it out.
Are you an independent? You don't take shit from anybody.
I also don't have to tell you you're free to be feisty, sarcastic, or free to raise your eyebrows every 2 seconds.
It's like this did not work out. I need to go back.
So I think we're with a bunch of friends as well, so I'm gonna have to like network back up with them.
Even if they like that.
However,
Right. I need like ride or die.
perhaps we should go grab food and drink together. We can compare our food and this one.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah?
I'll see how it
Sounds good. Fair enough.
So let's talk blueprint. Right here I'm getting a phone number, and part of the reason that I'm getting a phone number is because of things I'm assessing in her blueprint. If you think back through this interaction, there have been a lot of times when I've tried to sexualize things, and she hasn't responded badly to them, but she hasn't really participated or gone along with them, and if anything, she's given me shit tests on them. And she's tried to keep the conversation relatively proper. Now that said, over and over again, she does seem to like me. She's responding positively, she's following me around, she's having a drink with me, that sort of thing. And so blueprint-wise, it seems a lot more like her blueprint is be a little bit classy, go on a date, get to know someone, as opposed to a one-night stand blueprint. Because whenever I've hinted at things that are one-night standy, she hasn't overtly rejected them, but she really hasn't jumped on board with them. And if anything, she's more rejected them than not. But that said, there's tons of indicators that she likes me. So when you're looking at a girl's blueprint, there's blueprint as in how she's been raised, where she comes from, what she values. There's also blueprint as in what is her sexual blueprint, what is her path to sex. And this girl's path to sex seems to be very likely like a sort of classy seeming path. Now, who's to say that taking a girl home same night is less classy than going on a date? It's, you know, sex is sex. But she seems to be in the like societally accepted classy frame. Where, and even if like, if you look at the way this girl's dressed, she's dressed very like it's very flattering to her body, but it's like very elegantly dressed and that kind of stuff. So it seems like she has her sort of perception of the world, and she has sort of her plan for how things go down. And yes, you can violate those plans. Yes, you can make her go on your plan, but a lot of times it's easier to go on hers. That also combined with all the factors I mentioned in the previous breakdown, where I was doing the general, are the reasons I decided to just settle for a number and try and follow through rather than pushing super hard for the one night stand in this case.
We almost had like this intimate connection. She forgot my name. She fucked it all up. It was gonna be like a match made in heaven, and she ruined it. I realized she doesn't really like me for me. She just thinks I'm cute and like well connected, and I feel so good.
Here's another form of arrogant dickhead frame, basically. Another form of sort of implying high status, implying high value. It's that she just wants me for X. She just wants me for my body. She just wants me for my success. She just wants me because I can help her in life. She just wants me for whatever. Now, most guys, do you think they care why the hot girl wants them? They don't. They're just willing to go with any hot girl. Do you know who says this kind of stuff? Hot girls. You know, he just wants me for sex, right? As though that's like massively wrong. So I do that. She just wants me for my body. She just wants me for this. She just wants me for that. And what does it imply? It implies I'm in demand and I have standards. Okay? Very, very positive things to say good things about your status, your value, and to make it a win for the girl. If she has sex with you, it's a win for her in her head as opposed to a loss.
So we're over to meatpacking. Alright, so if you're ever out there, starting up doing something, and you're like, hey, I'm bored, it's late at night, I need someone to grab a cookie with, or like something. I don't know. There are cookie places in meatpacking, yeah. There's also good food. You go to Copelia? Do you know Copelia?
This is actually pretty unnecessary in this case, but it's a good thing to point out. Oftentimes when I'm getting a number in a situation where it's not super solid or it's not super on, I'll go to pretty good links to mention plans we could do, mention some cool thing, so that there's a premise behind the number, and so that like it doesn't seem like the number is just for sex or just for a particular outcome. So it's more about the experience, more about sharing and having a good time. And again, if the girl really, really likes you, this isn't necessary. But in situations that are kind of in between or borderline, it can make the difference between success or failure with the number. It can also make the difference between success or failure with texting, in the sense that she feels there's less pressure on the texting. She's more willing to respond to those initial texts. And then from there, it's on your text game to get her out. But giving a premise like this makes things more socially acceptable. So it sort of disarms a girl's anti-slut defense in certain cases. Again, in this case, it's pretty on, so I don't think it's really necessary, but it's just a good thing to point out.
It's good. As far as 24-hour food goes, it's really good. It's right on my block. So. Late at night, need a snack. Yeah. It's like, Copelia is like Cuban food, or what is it? Copelia, is it Cuban, or what is it?
Yeah, it's like Cuban.
It's like Cuban.
Super good.
Really good.
It's the best. It's like the best restaurant.
It's been a pleasure. Like I said, I'm out of town for the next
Tell
week.
me you're like...
But the following week, let's grab a bite or a drink or something. That's actually good. I usually start work about like 5 or 7 in the evening. So like 2 or 3, something like that's good for me. I usually wake up at like 2. So if I look like I just rolled out of bed, it means I probably did.
I do want to point out what I did here as I was getting the number, which is I said I'm kind of busy this coming week, etc., etc. Well, one, it makes it seem like I have other things going on other than just her, which is a high status thing. 2, it takes some pressure off of the number. It doesn't seem like quite as big of a deal. And 3, it makes her feel more safe giving me the number, right? Because if it seems like it's like, here's a number, let's hang out right now, it's very pushy, she's going to feel very much like when I text her, it's pushy, there's an expectation, she might not respond to the text, she might feel a little nervous. If she knows specifically that I'm out of town or I'm leaving for a period of time, number 1, she's going to feel safe giving me the number because she knows there's less of an agenda behind it. But number 2, if I do text her from out of town, those texts are actually going to be worth more in terms of building comfort. Again, anytime you do something in game, especially in text, but anytime you do something in game without an agenda, it's treated as more honest, more sincere, it builds more comfort, etc. So when I'm out of town, there's no agenda to my texting, she'll respond to it more readily, she'll open up to it more, so a lot of good things can happen from it. In fact, it's to the point where if I'm texting and I don't think I'll be able to make plans in a specified period of time, sometimes I'll even say I'm out of town, even when I'm not, just so that the girl will be a little disarmed and she'll open up to me and not feel that I have an agenda in texting her, right? There's a lot of value in texting without a purpose. There's a lot of value in talking without an agenda. So that can be a very, very useful thing. Okay, cool. So with that said, now that you've seen inside her head a little bit, let's break down the verbals in the next clip.